Her husband became her teacher. The students all exclaimed that this teacher was really too handsome. Even the same table said that this was her goal, and was shocked and inexplicably jealous at the same time. And then she saw Carl's hand. He took off his wedding ring. Annie was furious, but she couldn't get mad in front of her classmates. Annie had to hold her tongue. She wanted to see what this man was up to. Carl introduced himself. He said, "I'm your new substitute teacher. I'll be teaching your architecture class. If you have any questions, you can ask me." Lily at the same table immediately asked Carl if he was single. Carl smiled and said, "Of course." Annie couldn't sit still any longer. She took out her cell phone and sent Carl a message, asking what the hell he's up to. And Carl just reminded Anne of it. "This beautiful girl, you can't play with your cell phone in class." Annie's anger level reached a breaking point. She was thinking, "I'm gonna come home and pick your ass." But Carl didn't do anything about it. He asked the students to bring in their homework for him to correct. The girls are all clamoring to be first. They all wanted Carl to correct their homework, especially next to Lily, who was the most enthusiastic. Annie could only hold back her anger. It finally got to the end of class. Annie came into Carl's office right away, and before Annie could say a word, Carl took on the attitude of a teacher. He asked the student, "What can I do for you?" Annie was furious when she heard that. Carl saw that it was a bad idea. He explained that he was a doctor of architecture, "and I'm more than qualified to be your substitute teacher." Annie asked Carl why he was a teacher at our school. Carl said it was because I missed you so much, so I can see you more. Annie's anger was gone, but only shyness. This man is so good at coaxing people. But then Annie saw Carl's hand. He asked Carl why he wasn't wearing a wedding ring. Carl said, "I did what you told me to do. I don't want your classmates to know about our relationship." Annie was speechless. It was her request, but she was still angry. Annie warned Carl to stay away from my girlfriends. Carl's got a big smile on his face. When they got back, Carl told Annie, "You're the only girl I'll ever see. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Annie was shy again. Carl took the opportunity to ask for a sweet kiss, but Annie said she had to do her homework. Then she got up and left. Carl was at a loss for words. Carl laughed and asked Annie if she was jealous. He assured Annie that at school I was just a teacher, and those girls are just my students. I would never think anything of them. But Carl didn't know that someone was already thinking about it. It was Annie's classmate Lily. The next day, Lily came to Carl's house. She said she didn't understand her homework. She wanted Carl to help her with her homework. Carl understood what the little girl was thinking. He said he had something to do later. If you're not in a hurry, she could wait until she got to school to answer your questions. And Annie saw the whole thing. She didn't know what was going on. She wanted to go over and ask them what they were talking about. How could they talk for so long and so close to each other? But she was worried about exposing her relationship with Carl. At night, Carl acted as if nothing had happened and just turned her head away. She didn't want to talk to Carl. Carl knew that Annie was jealous, but he didn't say anything on purpose. He likes to see Annie's jealousy. This man is really too bad. But Annie never expected. The next day, Carl did something that shocked the whole school. Carl just walked into the classroom holding Annie's hand. The students' jaws dropped. They all marveled at how quickly Annie had done it, that the new male teacher would be with someone so soon. But Carl's next words were even more shocking. He announced in front of all the students that this beautiful lady beside me is my lawfully wedded wife. We've been married for a long